Good day, all. This is again Matt Sikes with Variphy here. What we're looking at is one of my lab sample dashboards here, focusing on UCCX. But we definitely have for today's session exposure for the new real-time block view for Q statistics. So essentially, what we're looking at right now is a similar flavor of wallboard, if you will, that I build out in the field for people. There's definitely going to be the need for the real-time measures as well. So from the agent status to the Q summary statistics as well in a live capacity. But a lot of people also kind of like this, the tiled version of some of these statistics. Now, as you can certainly see, this healthy, I guess, 12 pack of CSQ summary widgets that are here, kind of tiled here with single numerics in them or single metrics, if you will. So looking at calls and queues, stuff like that. But the problem, there's one kind of drawback with these guys, or previously was that they are of the more historical variety, meaning they're not updating in real time. I do believe they're being read from a secondary CCX Informix table that has a 30 plus second refresh rate on it, which is not the most ideal if people are leveraging these as wallboards, as well as the permalinks to broadcast these wallboards onto larger displays or television screens within environments. So while people most certainly like the real-time CSQs to see how the queue is performing, how many calls are actively waiting in queue, how many calls have been abandoned, and a handful of other options in here as well. But we'll certainly love the option to also be able to tile these statistics or these metrics actually kind of in this style of view. So as always, we listen to the field and we have heard you, and we have now baked this into the product. We have a couple versions I'm going to kind of walk us through. But I'm just going to step over to one of my other labs in a second here. But just want to give a quick little shout out, if you will, to our changelog on our website. So in the Variphy 25 8.1 release a few weeks ago, we did add the support for the real-time block view for the CSQ content. So that's certainly what we're going to dive into here in a sec. So in this other lab that I have here that we're looking at right here with just a few widgets just to hit the mark. But essentially, this is going to be our solution to kind of blocking for those real-time widgets and the real-time content for them. Now, while I certainly still have the table view here, what we have done is give baked-in options actually on this widget. One that you can view the table view as we're looking at right here, same nature as this one right here. They're the same exact styles, but also being able to, again, tile them down. So if we only want to look at total calls, calls in queue, etc., that can certainly be done now. Now, this is certainly Rev 1, if you will, that we came out with in 8.1 a couple of weeks ago. Now, we've definitely seen a few options that need to be kind of polished or punched up, but we'll get to that in a moment. So I just kind of want to walk us through maybe just creating a new widget, and maybe I'll pick, I like to pick on the cars queue. So if I want to pick on that cars queue, and we'll create a brand new widget right here from the ground up. So we'll get the widget wizard. We will select call analytics 99 out of 100 times. The platform will be my CCX cluster. And then the widget type, again, will be the real-time CSQ. Now, after Variphy version 25.8, now we will notice in the configuration page for said widget, while again being real time, it is refreshing every 5 seconds as fast as the source is updating its own tables. But we now have an option, and we're not just only giving you the table view, pardon me, we have a block view. So we can certainly select that now. You can definitely play with the color schemes, if you will, or themes. But all the metrics and content and the queues are certainly going to still be attainable here, selectable to send from the left box to the right box to be in the selected options for the widget output, including thresholds that are still here, haven't gone anywhere, but we'll get into those in a second. But we'll maybe just pick on this cars queue. Now we'll create a quick little widget here for this, even though I have some samples in the background there. You can definitely add more than one queue in here, but you will only get one value, the summary value of those queues for whichever metrics you deem necessary. I'm just going to pick on this cars queue just for now. And I'll just throw a little mud at the wall here, just grab maybe total calls, calls that were handled, calls that were abandoned, and we'll just run with those 3 for now, maybe calls waiting as well. So we'll go ahead and save that without even kind of entertaining any thresholds, but just to kind of show, okay, pardon me. We'll call this Matt UCCX RT block test. And we'll go ahead and save that. That will create something very similar to what I have up top here. So we can get into those as well. But again, this is pretty much going to be our answer for the block view. Now, I have selected more than one option here, but in Rev 1 of this design and this new code, we can either do kind of single tile, if you will, but you can also have multiples as well. Now, the first rendition, if you will, is only going to allow two metrics to be shown in the output of the block widget. Now, whether or not I kind of tile it in this manner, or if I only want one singular metric like that, you can certainly do that. But at the Rev 1 is only going to give you two options right here. And you might see that the font seems a little smaller because it will not adhere to the font sizing push. Now, certainly the title bars will, but the metrics inside will not. But certainly that is going to be handled and actually polished actually in the next major release, which is Verify 25.10, due out in a couple of weeks from now. But certainly what we can certainly see here is now we've made our way to actually be able to split this widget out. Whether or not we want the table view, I personally like the table view myself, but certainly do know the need to kind of have that, that block view as well that we've kind of always had. But again, never being really real time or close to real time kind of hinders the visual appearance. If you kind of have the real time widget up here, you're seeing numerics that are updating more frequently than these kind of block ones. Well, now the Verify version 25.8 now takes care of that. So again, we can certainly single tile these if we want to. I think I'm looking at two different CSQs actually in this widget. I believe I am. But again, I have one right next door where actually you can choose to have one singular metric in here, which is certainly by all means your decision. So I'm keying off of two CQs or two CSQs actually in this widget here, and only calling on total calls. Again, the one sitting right next door to it, I'm keying off of a couple more. And you can, if you have, you can definitely have more than than two. You can have as many as you like actually. But at the moment, we're only going to be able to just kind of scroll over to pairs at a time. Now, while that may not be the most ideal, certainly the Verify 2510 is going to put the polish on that, so the font is much more punched up as expected, as well as being able to kind of string multiples out. Now, I did want to give a quick little look-see into kind of what it is replacing, or what it used to look like, or what these summary statistics single tiles kind of were derived from. So again, those are the CSQ widgets. Now we're going to widget wizard again, call analytics platform. I'm going to pick on my Verify UCCX cluster and then point at CSQ Summary. Now CSQ Summary will give me the option to go ahead and string it out as well. So I will just call this CSQ Summary. That's fine. I love a good breadcrumb. And again, I'll pick on the cars CQ right here, or CSQ. And then again, I'll just call on some counts. We'll go with total count, again, handle count, abandoned count, normally the top three, and maybe I'll sprinkle DQ'd count in there. And then now I'm going to skip over the search sets because again, there's definitely things that we can do at a detail level to either include or suppress additional content, but that's not necessarily here for this session here. But again, this is certainly kind of um, the precursor, if you will, to the block widget now that we have with the real-time functionality. Now, again, this one does have that refresh, excuse me, that refresh interval baked into it. I mean, heck, even on my lab over here, I think I have these ones that I demonstrate on a pretty regular basis. I think I have these even set up to an hour. But again, nothing real time there. And even on the one we're looking at right here, the default is 15 minutes. Yes, I can pull it down to 30 seconds, but that does rely us on that relies on the source in Contact Center or in Formix to be updated in a timely manner as well, which it most of the time is not. So that's definitely why this block, which is actually going to, I think, fit the bill for multiple options here, or multiple issues that may have been, seen out in the field, let's just say. But again, even pulling this down to 30 seconds is not going to fit the bill, if you will, for the real-time aesthetic. While as we're, because these top widgets here are certainly reading Informix and a real-time table from the primary node on an every 5-second basis. But this is again the precursor. Now, excuse the the zeros here from this lab environment, but this is the older kind of style of CSQ, which is exactly, pardon me, which is exactly what this 12 pack actually is right here. Now, again, while those being a little longer on the refresh, they don't kind of fit the real-time bill, if you will. Again, we're going to have options. Well, we not going to have. We now do have the option here to go ahead and bring that to the forefront, where these actually are refreshing as fast as the table view is as well. So again, both of these two on the left and this one in the table view on the right here, are derived from the exact same widget style. It is the real-time CSQ activity. So again, these are going to be refreshing in real time as opposed to the older CSQ summary that we have that is unfortunately going to be a little more lengthier on that refresh and may not fit the bill exactly for production environments that need to kind of see real time data populated into these tile views or the block view as we're referring to it as. Now, this is certainly our first answer to that, so this definitely looks good. So again, this is, I believe, this is the cars and probably the phone room. So I think that's 40 plus 393 does tally up to 433, so that is accurate there. So now what we can do is play around with that. We can certainly invoke the threshold options. So we can certainly play around with colors if we need to kind of trigger something that's abandoned or calls that are waiting, and if we need to kind of update those with with different colors based on different thresholds or expressions actually on the values themselves. Definitely that is still here as well. It has been here for quite some time in the table view. But again, I can segue on over into the block view representation of this widget nowadays and go into thresholds. And I only built one around calls abandoned, but again, all the columns that are selected, or pardon me, all the metrics that are selected for the block view or even the table view, the same thing. We can certainly specify which statistic that we want to create those thresholds on, whether or not I build something on calls waiting, calls abandoned, total calls, number of agents logged in, stuff like that. Those are definitely going to be on the table for thresholding options for kind of that silent monitoring. Now, there's definitely audible chirps that we can play from these widgets as well, even the block ones. So you can play audible chirps. They have repeating options, but certainly to each their own. You can configure that to be a little obnoxious, but it does come with a mute button if you were to entertain the audio output as well. Okay, so this is kind of Rev 1 for the block view, looking pretty good, but we need to kind of get it, but we're not kind of need to. We are putting more polish on it for the next release. So I have a little sneak peek here for us. So the next major release coming from Variphy will be the 25.10. Now, this is definitely not out in the field, but definitely something I want to showcase as well. So now you can see here, these are those same exact widgets we were just looking at. So the real-time block view. Now, we definitely have the option to go ahead and and offer two metrics in there like we did before. You can see the font is very polished and pumped up as well. Now you can leave it at two. You can cycle those just like we can do in today's current GA release as well. But also in the next release, you will have the ability to go ahead and kind of extend it out as well across the page, or for as many metrics that you want to go ahead and bake actually into this block view. Now, the block view is kind of, again, meant to be almost singular, if you will, but definitely we noticed that there was a lot of, not noticed, but we knew that there was a lot of options around the CSQ summary one. Again, smaller, lengthier, infrequent threshold as refreshing rates, excuse me. But now actually, this is now going to be baked in here in the next release, so we can actually kind of see everything that's going on, not just pairs at a time, but able to see a whole row. Now, this is pretty much either a single metric or a full row or fraction thereof representation visually. So we definitely have we will have the option to go ahead and flex that out. So again, this is forthcoming in a handful of weeks. That should be due out in October. But this should definitely fit the bill for what the field was looking forward to for that for that tile view. So now knowing that the tile view is actually viable here, that should certainly be advantageous for all that are out there that are using Verify for wallboards in the environments. Now again, there's certainly options you can certainly just arrow over, if you will, through single options again, but you can certainly flex it out as need be. So you can definitely have multiple options, showcasing multiple metrics at the ready. Maybe I don't necessarily need to worry about those abandoned calls. We want to showcase some different options from the same widget that's maybe cloned or a copy therein. But again, this is definitely going to be fantastic for the field to go ahead and take advantage of this now real-time option. Whereas, again, we've had the real-time table view for quite some time with thresholding, with audible chirps and stuff like that. But again, being able to go ahead and tile things for the field as they like, and as the kind of the old school kind of wall boards that were kind of laid out in a lot of environments. People may be used to that. The supervisors may actually kind of like that view as well. But certainly it is here now, punched up a little bit more with more polish in the next release as well. So we just wanted to get this out to the field to make them aware that this is available here in our current release, but again, more polished right around the corner in the next rev. Now, That's pretty short and sweet for today. But as always, I mean, this is a quick example that that these widgets are of the real-time variety. So I actually do have my agent desktop logged in another lab over here, and you can see the myself personally, Matt Sikes. I'm in a ready state for 36 plus minutes. And if I were to go ahead and change my state, if you will, it will update immediately in our widgets, and that's exactly the same expectancy that you should have for the real-time CSQ widgets as well. So that real-time adoption there, while it may be just a couple of seconds, it won't be anything greater than 5. So you should be able to go ahead and take this to the bank as far as how many calls have been handled today or presented today thus far, what's been handled. Certainly calls are actively waiting in the queue. And then certainly you can see here all my colors. Everyone loves a good color page these days, but certainly you can go ahead and enable any of those thresholds to key off of any of the metrics or value options within the widget content. Now the block view is just going to give us another little plume in our cap to be able to go ahead and provide that aesthetic for the field, so they can go ahead and and lean on kind of some things that they may have been used to, or if they maybe were unaware that the older view was of a more latent view, let's just say. So a little latency kind of on those refreshes. This now brings it right up to real time, so that you can kind of look at this up at in an eye shot, up at a dashboard within an environment to gauge exactly how many calls do I actually have waiting that are waiting in queue. Again, do we need to trigger colors to for 1 2 to go oranges or reds, things of that variety, and then again, then always do they need to trigger audible alerts? That can certainly be done as well. So just wanted to pull back the curtain a little bit and kind of make the field aware that this is forthcoming. We do have we do have the Rev 1 in here as well, so you can certainly download the current verified GA of the 8.x. You go ahead and get that loaded up, and that will have the real-time block variety here. Um, Again, you definitely have the options to go table or block view on the real-time CSQ widget for the CCX. So this should look very familiar. Just a different option with block. You do get some color themes, but one other caveat with the block view though as well is when you're enabling thresholds, you can't onesie twosie pick exactly which queues these are going to be a part of. It's going to kind of blanket them all. So even though this option here, it seems to be a little misleading. Let me just rerun through that. So if I were to key on calls that are waiting, add my expressions. Okay, some of it was just cached in there. So now we can key on, let's say red for calls waiting. We'll say, I don't know, greater than maybe 2. So any calls that we're waiting that are greater than 2, i.e. 3 or better, certainly that would illuminate a red designation actually in that widget as well. So I just kind of turn that on over from a table view to the block view. And again, I don't have any calls that are actively waiting in this lab here, but if there were 3 that are waiting, certainly can make that red. And then again, last pass by. Then also, again, you can play around with the audio wave files here, whether or not something that needs to be a warning, informational, or it can be very critical and again very jarring. But there are test options here with repeat options as well. So again, can be configured to be a little obnoxious, but just wanted to make everyone aware that that is certainly tangible now. Let's just go ahead and get rid of that altogether. So, Juan, I think that's about all I have for this kind of sneak peek here. Just want to make everyone aware that the block view for the Contact Center Express CSQ widgets is now here. More polish to come in the next rev, but certainly this is certainly something that people can go ahead and get entertained and go ahead and get configured in your dashboard/wallboards. But if there's any questions or thoughts or concerns, we'd be more than willing to entertain anything. And if you have any feedback, we're always open.
Great. Great stuff as always, Matt.
Mhm.
Anyone have any questions? If you do, drop them into the chat here for us, and we'll be sure to address it for you guys.
Yeah, just a kind of a short and sweet one here today, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing too luxurious, but definitely some code I think that the field's been needing for some time. So it's here now, and more polish to follow in a couple of weeks.